There's a question that haunts many sincere spiritual seekers. If all is one, how do we face evil, cruelty, genocide? How do we honor victims without diluting their suffering in spiritual language? So in this short video, I want to explore a non-dual response that does not bypass pain, does not make everything okay, and still rests in the deepest truth of oneness. Non-duality says there's one indivisible reality, one consciousness, appearing as everything. At the same time, our human lives confront us with horror, war, sexual violence, racial terror, extermination, the quiet daily cruelties that don't make the news and, of course, make the news. These days, I shudder in the mornings when I look at the news every day. Atrocities across the world, genocide and murder and all kinds of cruelty and trauma. Non-duality says there's one indivisible reality, one consciousness appearing as everything. At the same time, our human lives confront us with horror, war, sexual violence, racial terror, extermination. The quiet cruelties that don't make the news and make the news. If you're not careful, we can throw these together and end up saying things like, it's all an illusion, no one was really hurt, and from the absolute view, nothing happened. For someone who's been raped, displaced, bombed, or systematically dehumanized, that is not wisdom. That is violence wearing spiritual clothes. So we need a more mature non-duality, one that can hold two levels at once. The absolute level of oneness and the relative reality of trauma, of injustice, and a cry for justice. Think of it this way. At the absolute level, non-duality points to what you are before any story. Pure awareness, the open field in which every experience rises and falls. Here there's no victim, no perpetrator, no other at all, only one seamless being. At the relative level, the same being plays as histories, bodies, identities, and nervous systems. Here there is a child whose village was destroyed. Here there's a woman who is not believed. Here there is a people marked for erasure. If we collapse these two levels, we either drown in despair or float off into dissociation. A wise spirituality keeps them distinct and lets them talk to each other, the relative self and the absolute. In the human realm, we speak plainly. This is wrong, this hurts, this must stop. In the contemplative heart, we rest as that which holds all of this without turning away. To truly honor victims within a non-dual understanding, a few commitments become non-negotiable. We do not argue with their reality. When someone says, I was harmed, we do not respond with metaphysics. We listen. We believe them. We name what happened: abuse, torture, genocide, betrayal. We allow grief, rage, confusion, all of it to be legitimate guests in the space of awareness. Phrases like, you attracted this, it's your karma, or it's just a story in consciousness may sound spiritual, but in the wrong context they function as blame and erasure. Honoring victims means the first response is human. I'm so sorry this happened, you didn't deserve it, your pain matters. We let compassion be the shape non-duality takes. If there's only one self, then the suffering over there is not actually over there. It is touching the same field of awareness you call me. From this view, indifference becomes impossible. Non-duality flowers as concrete care, showing up, protecting, accompanying, advocating. So practically, how do we stay rooted in non-duality and still fully honor victims. We use the language of you and they, and this should never happen again. We support justice processes, trauma therapy, reparations, and structural change. We take sides behaviorally, standing with the vulnerable while resisting the temptation to dehumanize anyone in our hearts. In meditation, in the privacy of our own being, we may notice all of the screams, headlines, numbness, outrage is appearing in one indivisible field. This recognition can give us the strength to face reality without collapse, because we are not only the one who suffers, we are also the space that can bear it. But, and this is crucial, we do not require others to take that stance. We never tell a person in fresh trauma, you are just awareness. We might live from that realization as we sit with them, but we let it express as presence, not as teaching. Here's a simple guideline. With victims, lead with validation, protection, and listening. With yourself, let non-dual practice be the ground that keeps you open, kind, and able to stay present to their pain. When you really feel there's only one being here, something paradoxical happens. You don't become more detached, you become more available. Non-duality then is not a view about the world. It's the discovery that the same light looks out through every pair of eyes. From that discovery, turning away from suffering feels like turning away from yourself. To honor victims in a non-dual way is to let that recognition move your feet and your voice, to say no to cruelty, to say yes to protection and repair, and to do without hatred, because even those who harm are expressions of the same being lost in confusion. This does not excuse, it does not minimize, it simply refuses to dehumanize anyone, even as it refuses to allow dehumanization to continue. So if you've ever felt torn between love of non-dual truth and heartbreak at what humans do to each other, know this. You don't have to choose. You can let your realization deepen your empathy, sharpen your moral clarity, and fuel your commitment to justice. One doesn't float above the world's wounds. It kneels beside them. So I hope this resonates, especially these days as we wake up with the news and the horror of cruelty and reflect on our own humanity and also on our inhumanity. Tattvamasi. Namaste.